He never told me he was unhappy. That's the part that still confuses me. There were no warnings. No late-night conversations. No honest arguments about feeling stuck. We were married. Not perfect, but steady. We talked about work, bills, and plans. We laughed at small things. We shared a life that felt ordinary in a way I trusted. If he felt trapped, he hid it well. He still held my hand in public. Still kissed me goodbye in the mornings. Still talked about the future like it was ours. So when I found out he cheated, trapped was the last word I expected to hear. I didn't find out because he confessed. I found out because the truth slipped. A message sent at the wrong time. A name I didn't recognize. A tone that didn't belong to me. When I asked him about it, he didn't deny it. He looked tired. Like, explaining would be easier than lying. I didn't plan for this to happen, he said. I just felt stuck. Stuck. I thought about all the chances he had to say something. All the moments we could have talked. All the times I asked if he was okay. He never said he felt trapped then. He said it after he cheated. He told me marriage felt heavy. That responsibility weighed on him. That routine made him feel like he was disappearing. I listened quietly. Because none of that explained why he chose betrayal. Instead of honesty. He said he still loved me. That the affair didn't mean he wanted to leave. That it was just a way to breathe again. A way to feel free. And suddenly, I understood something painful. In his story, marriage was the problem. Not the lying. Not the cheating. Not the choice he made without me. I didn't respond right away. I needed time to sit with what he was really saying. Because if commitment felt like a cage to him, then loyalty was never something he chose freely. And that realization was only the beginning. After he said the word trapped, he started explaining himself like it was a confession he'd rehearsed. He told me he felt like he was losing himself. That marriage came with expectations he didn't know how to carry. Responsibility. Routine. Being needed every day. I just needed something different, he said. Something that didn't feel so heavy. Different. I thought about how heavy life had been for both of us. Work. Bills. Decisions. The normal weight of building a future. I never knew that weight felt optional to him. He said the other woman didn't ask for anything. Didn't expect consistency. Didn't need reassurance. She made me feel free, he said. Free. Not because she was special. But because she didn't know him well enough to need anything real. I asked him why he didn't talk to me. Why didn't he say he was struggling before he crossed a line? He looked uncomfortable. I didn't want to hurt you, he said. And I didn't want to fight. So instead of honesty, he chose secrecy. He told me cheating wasn't about love. That it wasn't emotional. That it was just an escape from pressure. Like betrayal was a coping mechanism. He said marriage changed him. That commitment made him feel smaller. That he needed space to remember who he was. I listened quietly. Because something about his explanation felt familiar. Not the words. But the pattern. He wasn't talking about the affair. He was talking about himself. His feelings. His discomfort. His need for relief. There was no space for the damage he caused. No mention of how trust breaks quietly. No acknowledgement that freedom gained through betrayal isn't freedom at all. That's when it hit me. He didn't cheat because marriage trapped him. He cheated because accountability did. And instead of learning how to carry commitment, he stepped outside it. And called that survival. I didn't argue. I didn't interrupt. I just listened long enough to understand one thing clearly. If escape mattered more to him than honesty, then this wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. And I was no longer willing to pretend it wasn't. After he finished explaining himself, the room felt quiet in a different way. Not tense. Not angry. Empty. I kept thinking about the word he used. Free. He talked about freedom like it was something he had lost in marriage. Like commitment had taken something from him. But I realized something he never said out loud. His freedom came at my expense. While he was escaping pressure, I was carrying the weight alone. I carried the trust. The routine. The belief that we were facing life together. I stayed loyal to a life he secretly felt trapped in. I asked him if he ever thought about how this would affect me. He paused. I knew you'd be hurt, he said. But I didn't think it would destroy everything. That sentence stayed with me. Because it meant he knew. He just didn't think it mattered enough to stop. He said he never planned to leave me. That the affair wasn't about replacing me. He wanted both. The stability of marriage. And the lightness of escape. And in that moment, I understood something painful. I wasn't his partner. I was his anchor. Something that held him steady while he looked for air elsewhere. He talked about how hard marriage felt. But he never talked about how hard it was to be faithful. To someone who was choosing relief over responsibility. I realized then that his version of love didn't include staying when things felt heavy. It included leaving quietly. And coming back when it felt safe again. That's when the sadness shifted into clarity. If marriage felt like a cage to him, then I would always be the one he blamed. For the bars he built himself. And I knew this wasn't about fixing us anymore. It was about deciding whether I wanted to live inside someone else's resentment. That night, I stopped trying to understand him. Because understanding didn't change the truth. His freedom was never about finding himself. It was about avoiding the responsibility of loving someone honestly. And once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. After that night, I stopped trying to meet him halfway. Because I realized I had been standing alone for a long time. He spoke like his feelings explained everything. Like understanding him would somehow undo the damage. He kept saying he loved me. That he didn't want to lose our marriage. That the affair didn't change his commitment. But his words didn't match his choices. Love doesn't escape quietly. It stays and speaks. I asked him one final question. If marriage felt so heavy, why didn't you talk to me before you cheated? He didn't answer right away. Then he said something that told me everything. I didn't think it would go this far. Not I was wrong. Not I hurt you. Just surprised that consequences existed. That was when I understood his definition of love. Love was comfort without responsibility. Freedom without honesty. Commitment without accountability. And I couldn't live inside that. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse. I simply told him I wouldn't accept a version of love that required my silence. So he could feel free. He looked confused. Almost offended. Like he never expected me to question the story he told himself. But once you see the truth clearly, you can't pretend anymore. I wasn't rejecting marriage. I was rejecting betrayal dressed up as self-discovery. And that choice changed everything. The decision didn't come in anger. It came in clarity. I stopped trying to fix something that was breaking me slowly. He kept talking about working through it. Counseling. Time. Space. But every solution centered around one thing. Me staying. Me understanding. Me forgiving. Me adjusting. I realized something important. If I stayed, I would spend my life proving that commitment wasn't a cage. Trying to convince him that responsibility didn't steal freedom. And I was tired. I didn't want to be someone's lesson. I didn't want to be someone's compromise. I wanted partnership, not endurance. When I told him I needed space, he looked shocked. "Are you really going to give up on us?" he asked. I thought about everything I had already carried. "I'm not giving up," I said. "I'm choosing not to disappear." He didn't argue. He didn't fight. He just looked lost. Like he never imagined freedom would include consequences. Walking away felt unreal. Like stepping out of a life I thought was permanent. But it also felt honest. I wasn't walking away because marriage failed. I was walking away because love can't survive where escape matters more than truth. And I knew I deserved a life where commitment wasn't something someone resented. Leaving didn't feel like freedom at first. It felt like a loss. Not just of a marriage, but of the future I thought was certain. The days after were slow. Too quiet. Like my life was asking me who I was without holding everything together. I replayed his words more than his actions. Trapped. Stuck. I needed an escape. And slowly, something became clear. I was never in the cage. I didn't trap him with love. I didn't trap him with commitment. I didn't trap him by expecting honesty. What trapped him was responsibility. And instead of learning how to carry it, he ran from it. I stopped questioning myself. Stopped wondering if I asked for too much. Stopped shrinking my expectations to make someone else comfortable. Marriage didn't fail because it was hard. It failed because when things felt heavy, he chose relief over integrity. Healing wasn't immediate. Some days, I missed the version of him I believed in. Other days, I felt strong in ways I hadn't before. But with every quiet morning, I felt something return. Peace. I slept without anxiety. I breathed without guilt. I trusted my instincts again. I didn't lose myself by leaving. I found the part of me that refused to accept love. That needed betrayal to feel free. Love isn't supposed to feel like a cage. And if someone needs to escape it, they were never ready to stay. If this story felt real, you're not alone. Subscribe for more.